absolute XRP bombshell coming up. But before, let's look at what's happening in the crypto market. Pengu, man, is not letting go. It's pumping pretty hard. Shout out to people who got that early. And don't be deceived by this M. Seems to be the solitary sort of negative in the last hour or so. You will find out why in a minute. So in the last day, H bar has come on really strong, right? Probably the only top 100, top 50 tokens in that kind of range in the last day. So shout out to H bar, Hedera holders, big win. And in the last week or so, exactly. This is why M is, this meme core token is cooling off a little bit today. Look at that magnificent run. That's a 10x, I believe, right? Absolute win. But in the last year or so, look at XRP showing up, looking very nice. Okay, the only sort of top 10, so we're doing pretty well, but outperforming pretty much anything else in the top 10 XRP in the past year. Anyway, so crypto market looking nice today, back down a little bit from 3.7 trillion in market cap to 3.69. Bitcoin flirting again with another all-time high, probably by tomorrow morning, Monday, would be in proper price discovery approaching 120,000. And when that happens, it gives breathing space for the rest of the altcoins to perform as well. As long as Bitcoin isn't dragging them down, we can really see their performance. Again, look at H bar top in the trending box there, looking really nice. I'll do another video after this talking about H bar specifically and why that may be happening and what I think the prospects are going forward. But as for now, we're focusing on XRP, which obviously made a nice, decent run itself. Let's just wait for that to load. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. So this is the 7-day chart. You can see yesterday, big pump, and then now just moving sideways. Massive news and a great week for XRP. Now, this is the story that I want to talk about today. Banks could roll out XRP-powered payment systems in just weeks, says the experts, right? And there's a video courtesy of Smoke, yet again, on X, that I want to react to. I listened to it. There's a little bit of information, and it's not that much information. It's just the declaration of what formed this title here, which is comparing like the things that we can do now to the things of the past and how quickly things can be rolled out now, right? So basically, banks may adopt Ripple's XRP system in just weeks. XRP eliminates pre-funding, enabling faster and cheaper cross-border payments. I think the pre-funding aspect is what chops most of the overhead and reduces the time. The installation of infrastructure would have had to be something a lot more involved, involving building things from scratch and making connections across the world, which could take decades even, and leveraging existing systems that have managed to lay that groundwork over decades would be a very costly endeavor indeed. But with something like the XRP Ledger, as this expert says, we're looking at weeks, perhaps even days, to be honest. So here's that audio. Let me just maximize it so you guys can hear. This is I guess, some sort of interview with some experts. I'm not actually sure who those people are, but I'll let you guys listen for yourselves. This is courtesy of Smoke on X.
Which I think should be quite comfortable for you. How long is the implementation process to get started with Ripple?
Okay, so the question is, how much is the implement? Let me just maximize that so you can see the schematic. So this is a system, a payment system that a bank would set up. And as you can see, these are the beneficiaries on this side. This is a sender on this side. That's the Australian flag, I suppose. And Australian dollar to, what is this? S dollar, US dollar, I suppose that is. Or Swiss, is this? I don't know what S is. I know this is Australian dollar. Let's assume that's the US dollar or anybody else, regardless. And then, of course, you have XRP in the middle there as the bridge currency. No need for counterparty stashing each currency and having them pre-funded. So that pre-funding, I spoke about this already in some of my previous videos, is a problem and it is a risk. And it's often why some of these things take so long to set up and are so expensive, because of the mitigation of risks involved and how much it takes to actually fund such a process.
Yeah, so typically we look at about a 2 to 3 month basis from start to finish. A lot of that is part of the onboarding process. So we go through a credit review process. We then have an onboarding process. That's relatively straightforward. In terms of the technical integration side, it can take between, I'd say, probably 1 to 2 months. That includes things like testing, integrating into the system, and just general process. I think the fastest one I've ever done was probably a 3-week implementation, which was very fast. And probably the slower ones hit that sort of 3-month mark. But it's as fast as you can put resources into making it happen. And we're here to support that.
That's absolutely insane. Because as someone who's worked in corporate IT and corporate operations way back in the day, these things used to take years of planning, months, if not years of testing, compliance work, and, just so many layers that you had to go through. And all of that now, because of technology, like the XRP blockchain and Ripple's payment system, it's something that they can just plug into. A good analogy of this would be even this video I'm making right now. For this to have been made possible using the old systems, one person in his house, in front of a camera, broadcasting to thousands of people, or creating, broadcast quality, HD video that gets shown in corners of the world, beyond what was, otherwise possible, would have taken ages. I'd need, BBC to drive the vans to my park yard here and have, satellite dishes installed to transmit it across London to the headquarters somewhere. Where's the BBC based? I think they're in a place called Alexander Palace in North London. And then from there, they would have to transmit the signal across, to their whatever, if they use satellites in space. Very expensive. And this is why, only the likes of CNN, BBC, and Fox News and all these guys had that technology to do that before. And even then, the signal that would be transferred wouldn't be of a high quality. It would be, standard definition as it used to be. But because of the advent of digital technology, the internet, etc., I could just whoop up my phone. My phone today in 2025, even though it's an old phone, it's not even a new phone, basically has the technology in it that is superior to anything that the BBC or Fox News had just 20 years ago. My phone in my pocket, and the ability for me to just talk into this one flat object that is also the camera, it's the audio system, it's the transmission system. Everything is packed into this one phone. And that's the analogy that we're dealing with when we compare the old systems to what we have now in blockchain. So the time scale has been crushed and compressed, which is why I keep saying that it is likely that when these things get switched on, it all just happens so fast, so violently, so immediately that most of us might not even get the chance to react if we're looking to wait to see what happens before we react, which is why I continue to dollar cost average right now when the things aren't switched on yet, but we can see that they're imminent, right? None of that, of course, is financial advice. But I found that quite interesting. Even, being privy to that kind of knowledge and analogy, I still find it quite surprising that it can happen that quickly. And that's how far that they've gotten. And here's another chart presented by Smoke. I don't know where he's got this from. Obviously, he's referencing it from something else, which is the analog versus digital asset creation comparison, in terms of how much it costs versus analog versus digital, 4 years versus 4 hours, $4 million versus $40. So the overhead and cost has been reduced dramatically by technology. So shout out to technology. And here's another one I wanted to have a quick look at. This one is more in the realm of speculation that Ripple has leaked the name of their trust, of their bank, and is apparently going to be called Ripple National Trust Bank. Here's a copy of the proof. I'll leave this in the description for you to go have a look at yourself. But honestly, it doesn't really matter what the name is. It could be called Ripple Bank or Bank of Ripple or XRP Bank International. None of that matters, right? Obviously, this is just gathering excitement about the fact that it is going to happen. I think it's a more important thing that Ripple effectively now is a bank. And what that does is gives them basically a seat at the table with other banks, and they're able to legislatively and regulatorily I've coined my own words today. Deal with these banks. So these banks can now basically just be onboarded onto the Ripple system, Ripple payment system, Ripple network, XRP Ledger, what have you, with very little overhead, very little friction, because all of the regulations, all of the legal aspects and compliance would have been dealt with. I did a little bit of sleuthing myself, by the way. When a name is registered, usually in a business, the first step that they would take is take on the domain. So for instance, ripplenationaltrustbank.com or .net, .co, whatever, that should be registered. So I had a quick look at that, and lo and behold, ripplenationaltrustbank.com launching soon. And this is a GoDaddy account that someone has registered. You can see that they've done it really quickly. Now, I suspect that Ripple themselves didn't do this. I suspect that it's just an opportunist, or someone like me who knows that this sort of stuff happens immediately, and they've gone ahead and preempted and basically registered as many as possible. I'm willing to bet that .co.uk, .ca, .info are also all taken. And the idea is, of course, that Ripple buys one of these accounts from them, or somebody buys. Already, they haven't put anything on here, and it's probably getting quite a fair bit of traffic, because even I've looked at it, right? Let's have a look at .info is another one, or .net. Let's have a look at .net. Is that taken? Nope. Oh, it's not secure. Let's look at .co.uk. That's probably not taken, because nobody cares about the UK. Ooh, something's happening there. Okay. Someone's taken this. Why? It's just white. It's not actually a 404. All right, let's try .canada. That one's not taken. No one cares about Canada. IO, no one cares. So .com, .co.uk, and .info are taken. Shout out to Ripple, and shout out to you guys. Not financial advice, but happy times ahead.